right, so the closure propositions, I showed you just closure in general, but actually there's three different kinds of closures. So closure within the group, closure within the core subgroup, and closure between the periphery and the core. That particular one, the peripheral two-mode closure, is really based on the notions of the open source literature that say it's very important to involve the periphery in the project, give them a feeling of ownership, listen to your beta testers. This is a lot of the themes that come out of the literature that say this is what you should be doing. So there are maybe some special benefits attached to the periphery talking to the core, as opposed to just the general levels of density either within the group as a whole or the core as a whole. So these are the three.
Are the periphery your beta testers?
Typically, yeah. That's
and so the core is kind of like the alpha test, the alpha people.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the core is really where your seed product comes from, and then the real. But for all of these, we are suggesting that an inverted view relationship will exist between closure and community success.
David, when you're giving your talk, I want you to take your watch off
and
have it in front. Put it on the table right there in front. Okay. So you can watch your talk.
Yeah,
It's hard. It's easier to look at it when it's because you got to learn to be aware of your time on this, and because this is your budgets, and you don't want to. You want to be aware how much time you're spending on something.
Right.
I mean, if without interruption, you should be able to make it come exactly to 45.
Right.
I should watch your time.
Mm-hmm. All right. Will do. So basically the inverted U says the normative structure for these kinds of communities is a moderate level of closure. That's where you want to be. That's associated with the maximum level of success.
Okay, now you can go a little faster because we're going to hear all this again on Thursday. We're all going to be here. You got to give us some reason to come again on Thursday.
Okay.
Especially me.
All right. No, all you're touching on now. No more. All right. So bridging. There's core bridging and administrator bridging. These are ties extend outside the community itself, but ties from the core subgroups and ties from the administrator subgroup. And here we think it will be a positive relation, and I'll explain a little bit why. We'll tell you that now. Gotta wait. Then leader centrality, we have one proposition. That's where we look at the administrators as the leaders, and we consider their central position within the central position of the administrator subgroup within the group. Mm-hmm. About half of these projects had one administrator. So in those cases, the administrator subgroup is just one person, and that is the classical notion of centrality, which is nodal centrality, one person. But because in some cases there are 2, 3, or sometimes I think we had as many as 11 administrators, we consider that a subgroup, and fortunately within the last 10 years there have been methods for applying centrality to a subgroup rather than just a single node. And so we'll be defining administrator centrality in a way that can handle either an individual node or a group of administrators. And for these, just like for the closure, we're believing that an inverted U relation would exist between leader centrality and success. Study design, study population, 160 communities. It's important to note this is part of controlling for the mediating factors. So we selected only early stage projects, those within their first 2 years of activity following their first release of project software. Only developer targeted projects where the targeted audience are developers as opposed to users. So for example, Open Office or Mozilla, things, software commonly used by anybody would be more user targeted. But we're looking at developer targeted, which is actually software drivers, operating systems, and things that are of interest to developers only. And then finally, non-corporate sponsored projects. So we eliminate those, knowing that there may be some different patterns that we see in those. And
okay. So you don't have it in your study.
We're excluding. These are only community projects.
They're all volunteer,
If there's any evidence of...
individual volunteers.
Yeah. Yeah, this is, so
So
this,
there's-
yeah, the study population
that 40%
is
is not in
absolutely
your
not in
sample.
the study population. Good point.
Good point.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
All right.
So that removes that complicating objection
Right,
Mary
right,
is doing.
right. So unit of analysis, research method, data elements taken from SourceForge data sources, that includes the SourceForge site itself as well as two research databases created by Notre Dame and by the LibreSoft project in Spain. So we mined those, but all the data in those research databases came from SourceForge. It was just a more convenient way of mining and compiling the data. It's a cross-sectional design. We extract the archival data, aggregate it for a 2-year period. And even though it's a 2-year period, it is cross-sectional. We basically look at the aggregated amount, and that's the single data point basically for the project. Independent variables, so we have 6 variables which match up with the 6 propositions and those 6 kind of constructs. So for closure, we use the density measures. For bridging, we use core membership, the administrator membership degree. So that's, and I'll explain what those are. Leader centrality, we define as administrator class centrality. So that's that social network measure that can incorporate both individual, basically class centrality applies to the whole subgroup as it being central within a larger group, but if the subgroup consists of one, then that measure collapses to the nodal centrality. So mathematically, it's a very nice measure that works for our purposes. But I don't know whether I've got these little how deep to get into defining that. Sorry. I've got, I did this last time, but just for a couple of them, but, group density is this, and this is how you calculate it, core density is this.
I'd save those for
Just have them as backup.
backup.
Right, because
But it seems like you're running right up against it.
well, I can cut back other stuff, but I'm just saying, how important is this to be in the body?
I say not in the body.
Just have it as a backup.
You may have it as a separate PowerPoint slide that you can sort of flip up, because it takes you a while to scroll to the end.
Yeah, right. I
Yeah.
don't want to.
One suggestion in terms
file might be
when you're scrolling, David,
Right.
just in case if you know the number of the slide that you want, like if you have your master copy of the slide, enter the slide number and hit the return key. That will take you directly to the slide you want.
Yeah. And having half-size printouts for the
Oh,
have a
yeah.
half-size.
Half size. for
Not
that.
six-
not
Not these
page.
little guys, but
No.
yeah. but
Not
have
6
a-
to a page?
No, 2 to a page.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, because when there's something.
Oh, and some of these things are small. Okay.
When you have a chart and
Great, thank you. Right.
Yeah, but that's if you know your slide number.
And
enter
see,
slide
I-
number.
I-
and hit enter.
on your square there, this small point won't show if you put 6 to a page. They can't read it.
Yeah. Right, right,
Like-
right.
like
These will be okay, but the
Yeah,
diagrams
those
we're
are-
just looking at
those are
it.
good,
Ones, yeah. That's true. I hadn't thought about that.
And then,
I have some
and
slides.
then, so you can say, you can refer to the slide numbers there, if you want, I can go into the detail and they can look, say, do you want
Right,
the
right,
detail?
right.
And then you can go directly.
Oh, so,
to
yeah,
that
so
slide.
those,
So paper slides can help manage your time.
okay, so I might put those charts on the paper slide, the one that defines.
Yeah, just put them at the end or wherever.
Yeah, put it all on the paper
Yeah,
slides.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
And
you
then
can
if
jump
somebody
to it.
wants to go to a specific,
Three key aspects to it. We think this is a model for creating digital goods. This is what a digital good is.
Mhm.
And you know what? There are 2 kinds. There's knowledge collections and problem solutions, and this is what we think is the future of open source
Right.
process.
but
That's it.
all of these were things that you did not cover in your dissertation.
Oh, yeah, it's
Right.
extending it. It's saying, you know what,
If you want to be able to